Hey, welcome everyone back to another All Things Videogames podcast. I'm joined here with Greg, and today we're actually going to talk about the Microsoft E3 conference that is yet to come.
Yep.
We're going to talk about our wishful thinkings, our hopes, dreams, all that fun stuff.
Might leave out the dreams. I don't know. That could get scary.
Nah, but I know we're going to talk about Scorpio and basically like what we want out of, I guess, maybe the unit itself as far as like the casing or various things like that, the branding. And then, of course, we're going to talk about games.
Yep. So that's a good starting point.
Absolutely.
That's my first prediction is, and this is a pretty easy one, that they're going to fully unveil the Scorpio and its name and its design, price, release date, everything right out of the gate. I think that's part of the reason why we haven't had a lot of Xbox One exclusives. So this is it. I think Scorpio is going to be announced. I think we're going to have... unveiled, I should say, not announced because it's been announced. But unveiled, I think the price is going to be $399. I know it's wild, but I really don't see them going beyond that because it'd be stupid.
I think the most they could go is $450, but even that's pushing it because
that's very much pushing
the 1S would be like half the price, you know.
Yeah,
and
exactly.
They don't want to. It just.
Yeah. It's just too much. Just too much money.
$400 for what they claim is 4K gaming at 60 frames per second. I think is.
It's like
perfect.
this. To put it simply, Xbox was founded as a platform that was the ultra powerful option to everything else. That played every game better than everything else. That was the way the first one was. 360 ended up being that, even though the PS3 had a lot of power.
Yeah,
everything ran better on 360. So, and there's reasons for that we don't need to get into, but that I think Scorpio is Microsoft realizing that is their thing, that is their market, and I think that's what Scorpio is going to be. And if you look back at the Xbox One, or not the Xbox One, damn it, Microsoft, the original Xbox. Can't call it Xbox One.
No.
Thanks, guys.
Goes OG Xbox nowadays.
I know. Yeah. Damn it. I'm going gangster now. So, yeah, the original Xbox was the same price as a PS3, but drastically more powerful. At least twice as more powerful.
Twice the RAM. The GPU alone was actually...
It was way more than twice the RAM. It was like 4 times the RAM.
No.
Yeah.
32 and 64, bub.
It didn't have 32 on the PS2.
Yes, it did.
I don't think it did.
Yes, it did.
We have to do
and
some
the
more
commenters
math.
Can go ahead and prove me right.
I don't think so.
Dude, I know my tech specs when it comes to the consoles.
I don't know about that.
Mm-hmm. You want to pull it up right now?
Whatever. GameCube had more too, but
no, it did. It's in the.
It's
40s.
Like 48 is some weird number
because it was split. But regardless, the original Xbox had 64 megabytes and also what they called a Celamine, which was essentially a Pentium 3 copper mine that was kind of bumped down almost to Celeron specs.
Mm-hmm.
It was in the cache that basically determined what it was. This was kind of custom in a way just to make it a little cheaper. And then the GPU essentially that was
GeForce 3 essentially.
Yeah, essentially GeForce 3, and that came out before the GeForce 3 did. Yeah. Like it was right around the same time frame. So when that system came out, you're talking for the most part right on par with PCs.
And if that were to happen today, it'd be like the Scorpio coming out with a GeForce 1080, essentially.
Yeah, or maybe a 1070 or something. But
like right on, because GeForce 3 was like the shit when the Xbox original came out. But anyway, my point is that I think it's going to be $399 to match Sony because that's Microsoft's thing. They've always delivered way more performance for the same or better price. So
Plus,
I think that
Phil
this
Spencer,
is
the way he's been kind of leading it on, is it's kind of looking like that could be.
Yeah, he's killing it. So it makes sense. $399, and I think a lot of people are going to be surprised if it actually ends up being that. But it's console, man.
Okay, so we got the price out of the way, and obviously that's kind of like wishful thinking, and almost like it better be. So we got that. Now we come to the more important part, because they can make it $199 for all I care. If they don't have games,
right, and
it ain't selling.
To that point, I say that I think Microsoft is going to be very crystal clear on what the rules are for developers. Like this is what you guys can and can't do with Scorpio versus Xbox One versions of your games. And we've already seen them backpedal on this a bit, because last year there was an interview with somebody at Microsoft about who had said that they had to match frame rates between versions.
Yeah, they were essentially copying Sony, and in some cases that I don't know if that's a good idea, because I think if you look the way PS4 Pro is, they're not really talking about the sales numbers of that. So that means that, to me, it's just not selling that well.
Yeah, and the thing is that I wanted to get to is that there's been a more recent interview where they said it's totally up to developers. So if they want their game to run at higher frame rate on Scorpio, that's up to them. And they said that they can't imagine a developer of a multiplayer game is going to have different frame rates between its different versions because of obvious reasons.
Parity would be screwed up.
So I think it's awesome that they've already shown that they're listening and that they want developers to take advantage of the hardware. I still believe that this is Microsoft's next gen system. And if PS5 gets announced next year, it's more likely going to be more powerful, but we'll see just how much more.
Yeah, actually, let's see. The Xbox One came out, it'll be 4 years sometime this year.
Mm-hmm.
The original Xbox was on the market for 4 years until, and then the 360 came out. So essentially, maybe this one coming up is our Xbox 720 or, whatever.
It could be.
It's interesting because, like, Microsoft, we're going to exclude Nintendo here for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
Microsoft initiated the next gen when they went from Xbox to Xbox 360.
Yeah.
And then, obviously, Nintendo did for this one. But in a way, this is kind of like them against Sony doing the same thing. Like, hey, we're going to push into the next gen.
Yeah. And when you look at the specs, it's pretty well on par with like a really good PC from the looks of things.
Yeah, especially with that DirectX hardware chip.
That's awesome.
That takes away from the CPU. So even though that CPU is not necessarily all that great, it doesn't matter because it's not having to deal with DirectX calls.
Right. So you mentioned games, and obviously that is a very important thing because none of this matters without that. And I think Sea of Thieves is going to have its time in the limelight.
Oh, man, that game looks so good, too.
It looks like a return to form for Rare, which, we'll see what kind of form they're in nowadays because, the Spencer brothers, right, the Spencer brothers left a while ago, and the original titles they've made for Microsoft haven't panned out too well, unfortunately, even though they're good games.
All the Connect stuff that they had to do,
which is unfortunate. I think they got shoehorned into that, unfortunately. But I think we're going to see that. I would not be surprised if we see another Rare game, new IP, another one, be at least teased, which would be cool. I'd love to see like a fresh Banjo-Kazooie show up. That's not like nuts and bolts, because honestly, it's a good game, but it's not what people wanted from a Banjo-Kazooie game.
I personally, I'd like to see a completely new Perfect Dark game that doesn't suck.
I had thought about that, and Perfect Dark Zero, I picked that up only like a year ago, and it's not bad, but you can tell they were coming from the N64.
Yeah.
Like they didn't really have, like they should have teamed up with Bungie on how to tighten things up for a console. But either way, I think that's a good idea. I would like to see. There's two other games they've sort of kind of teased us with over the last few years I'd like to see show up. And that would be a Conquer game.
Heck yeah.
He was in that Project Spark, which was a surprise, but I'd like to see that. And then I would like to see a new Battletoads, which was teased through Killer Instinct.
Yeah.
That would be awesome. That'd be a great way for Rare to return to form and bring a lot to the table for Microsoft.
That could be pretty awesome.
And then in addition to that, I love the fact that they just released Voodoo Vince as a remaster and Phantom Dust. I would like to see a lot more original Xbox games come to the system, which I think brings us to another point that you probably want to make.
Yep. Backwards compatibility for the system, at least for the Xbox One, has been a really okay. Whether it's the One or the One S, what I'm basically referring to, the backwards compatibility for that system has been huge. As far as with 360 games.
Mm-hmm.
I personally think, based on how everyone's asking Phil Spencer, about it, and just the way he answers, I truly believe that they're going to announce full backwards compatibility. Mm-hmm. Now, obviously, it's going to be up to the publishers and, like it has been. But now they're going to say, we've opened it up for original Xbox games. Now, that doesn't stop them from remastering, like Voodoo Vince.
Yeah.
In fact, like, if I owned the original Voodoo Vince, I probably still would, maybe buy a remastered version. Depending that it was on disc or not.
Right.
So I think that if they set it up in such a way where it'll play Xbox Originals, 360, Xbox One, and then Project Scorpio games, that's like the ultimate box right there.
Yeah. I think this kind of leads well into the fact they're probably going to talk about Game Pass, which is already out. So who knows how much they'll discuss that. But so one thing I want to see more of, I want to see their commitment to, is the Play Anywhere program.
That's a good program. Now, I would like it if it were involving the physical media as well.
Yeah.
Flop in the Blu-ray disc into your computer if you have a drive, obviously, or maybe give you a code with the disc that could enable it on the Windows Store.
Yeah. I would take any of that. I would like to see more third-party games come to it. And then on top of that, this is a big, hope, is that they'll announce that you can now stream your PC games to your Xbox One.
Yeah, because
you can do it the other way.
Yeah, and that's I'd rather play my Xbox games on the big screen versus the small screen.
Yeah, that would be so cool. Just to have the flexibility to do that. And, who knows where they could go from there, too. The new Surface tablet, laptop, whatever you want to call it, was announced recently. Has awesome specs. Kind of hope to see Xbox integration with that too, because that could be a portable Xbox in a sense,
which could be pretty cool.
It could be, depending on how they do it. I think that's about all I got for Microsoft. It's not there's not a lot unknown, but yet there kind of is, you know. So
Well, at the time of this recording, the show's in a week,
yeah,
or maybe a little bit less than a week because of the time. But
yeah.
I'm
Not very long.
I'm gonna try to record like a reaction video with it if I can figure out how to get everything to work. But
Yeah.
it's gonna be interesting. I'm excited to see what they have. I definitely want to see some big name games. We already know that Halo 6 won't be there.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt Gears of War 5. That's got to be in the planning stages right now.
And they've already said Halo 6 won't make an appearance. I half believe it. I could see a teaser. But,
a teaser could be nice, but
mm-hmm.
it is what it is with that.
I think Halo is or not Halo, but Gears of War is ways off since they just released 4 last.
Now we could
fall.
see the next installment or season or DLC, whatever it is, with Killer Instinct, which is a possibility.
That'd be awesome. I would love that. I don't know if they're even planning it or not. Like 3 seasons so far.
They need games, and they're. I mean, you can count how many games they've released this year on half of a hand.
Well,
no,
could.
Not really. Maybe you could, I guess. But
there have been rumors of Remedy's new game being shown off.
Yeah,
which would be
that's also
cool.
Going to be cross-platform.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
But
either way, I'll take it. They're good. They make games that are awesome.
So. I think. I don't know. I'd like to see what other people have to say. I know it's important for the games, and they really need to show them. And I do know the indie scene is going to be shown off quite a bit. There is actually one game that I am awaiting, and that is Cuphead.
Yeah, that looks awesome.
Yeah, I'm just hoping that it's going to be on disc because I just don't want to do digital. But that game, honestly, I think I would buy it simply because how awesome it looks.
Yeah, it looks amazing. It looks really good.
But with all that stuff said, if anyone has ideas or thoughts that we missed, which I'm sure there's plenty.
Oh yeah.
But hit it up in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe if you haven't yet, because our next video is going to be on the PlayStation side, and you're going to want to check that out too. So with all that, like always, happy gaming.